is the Alphapex Pandemic First Aid Kit. It's whiskey and beef jerky and a mask. So we don't have to completely revolutionize it. We just have to do things a little bit more innovative. How come I can't grow this business? What's going on? That's bullshit. It's really not the job going south, it's the communication going south. Like, yes, we build buildings, but hey man, we are in the people business. I know absolutely for a fact that if you show people you care, your business will grow.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited to have one of our guests, Charles Covey from Alphapex, president, founder, great friend. We're going to talk about all kinds of exciting things today, from whack-a-moles to unicorns to how you can grow your construction business, marketing during COVID, safety, just differentiating yourself to be what a kick-ass construction company looks like, not only in the old days, the new days, but now moving forward here through the coronavirus. So Charles, welcome.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me. This is great.
You're welcome, man. I really appreciate you joining us. You are the perfect guest to start this series off. You know, when we think of, we talk about mobilization funding all the time, and we always refer to it as MF, or really what happened was our customers would just call us MF, or friends, investors, people would say, oh, MF, and shorten it. Yeah. And then we had the idea, albeit 6 years after we started, that maybe we should start coming up with a bunch of group of folks call them REAL MF'ERS. Well, you are the first REAL MF'er, Charles.
Very cool to see that terminology. Like when I first saw the invite, I thought, you know, that's really good branding. It matches MF'er and their company name. Couldn't have done it any better.
I'll probably get some cool gear and shirts and makeup around this whole theme, which of course we'll definitely share with you and get you some stuff. So I'm actually very fortunate and glad that our clients have referred to us as MF'ers and shortened our company name, because it turned out to be pretty good. If you would, just for the audience, why don't you take a couple minutes and just let them know about yourself, your business, where you're at, and then we'll dive into some questions that I have for you based on some of the things I know about you personally and collectively, and really get into it.
Well, I started construction at 16. So I grew up on a farm, and on a farm, if you got something to do, you got to do it yourself. There's nobody coming to help you. So we just learned how to build stuff. We built barns, and we fixed cars, and we built fence, and we did all the stuff that was necessary with our hands. So going from that to construction was really a very smooth transition. So when I was 16, I started framing houses and just loved it. Just loved construction, loved the people. I love being able to just see that building appear from nothingness right in front of you. And I've just always identified with that and just passionately love the business and the people in it. So I really started, that hammer swinging history really guides a lot of the stuff that I do now, because I was that guy. I was the lowest man on the totem pole, making a few dollars an hour, on that roof in the Texas sun. And so I've been in that position, and that's really how we've built the business, is really prioritizing the field and prioritizing the people that actually grind this out every day. And so I think that perspective has been good. As far as the business itself, I was working in commercial construction for a large general contractor, and I learned a lot. And I was always looking, what are those ways that I can get into business for myself? What are those ways that I can be an entrepreneur? And waterproofing came up pretty often as a problem area. Come on, guys, is there anybody that can take care of this scope and get it done well? And I just wasn't finding those guys. So I thought that was our opportunity. That was a chance for us to really disrupt a little bit this market. So if you think about our particular space, so Dallas, Fort Worth, kind of North Texas area, very busy, always been a good construction hub, a lot of growth here for the last 20, 30 years. And the waterproofing space, there's 3 or 4 competitors, and they're all 25 or 30 years old, and they're still doing it about the same way they've always done it. So that was a really good spot for us, to be the innovator, to be the disruptor, to kind of jump in that space and turn it upside down a little bit. So we don't have to completely revolutionize it. We just have to do things a little bit better, a little bit more innovative. And that's how we ended up where we're at. So it's just really taking the approach of every day trying to be a little bit better, seeking out what are the processes that can change. It turns out almost everything can stand a little bit of change. So we find out what those key elements are, and we try to change them a little bit and get more efficient and get better.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be brand new, just doing the same thing in a different, better way.
Agreed. Yeah, we just seek that out every day. Most of the things that I'm doing, that you're doing every single day, can be improved on. Like, let's not pretend that the human race is just perfected existence. There's so many things that we do that we can improve on. So we're just always seeking out what are those things and what are the ones that really impact the bottom line and really impact the people around us and impact those buildings that we build. So we try to find those.
Well, it's funny. One of the things that I always admired about you and your story, I obviously share a similar background in construction, at least being working in and around. My father had a commercial glazing business, and I worked in and around that business all the time on the job sites, and really developed the same passion for construction as you did. Albeit I ended up in this field or in and around it in a much different way, but the genesis of the enticement to it was there. One of the things that I always found really intriguing about you is you did find this waterproofing space. And as you mentioned, I've always heard in and around our world here in the last 6 years, just that scope being very difficult. And if you can find someone that does it, they either don't do it as well as they could or as wanted, or it's just hard. And you seem to have figured not only out the hard, but also how to maximize that opportunity, but deliver a great product, do it efficiently, and run a great business. You started to touch a little bit on the origin of how you got into the waterproofing side, but can you talk a little bit about where you saw the problem area was, and then how you decided to get yourself up to speed quickly on what waterproofing is, how to make it better, and then most importantly, how did you execute on that?
Yeah, the biggest deal that I was seeing as a project manager, as a superintendent for a GC, I did both of those roles, is that the subcontractors in the waterproofing space, they didn't have the client's interest in mind. They had their own interest in mind, for damn sure. But where was that customer service? Where was that high level of care for what helps the client be better? So yeah, of course they wanted that change order for them, but what about the client? What about the person, who hired them on the job? How do we make them better? And it was really easy for me mentally to go from that approach. I don't know why some people have an issue with that approach, but I'm in the business for my clients. Plain and simple. And really that was the spot that we saw. Like, nobody's really operating at a high level of customer service, but it's not that complicated. So if you come at it with the right mindset, it's really been game changing, I think, in our space. And it's been a wake up call for a lot of subcontractors in our area to really elevate their game to a higher level of customer service.
Did you find that to be in every scope, or just particularly waterproofing? That opportunity?
There's great question. I think there's space for improvement in every scope. Waterproofing is unique a little bit in that it's not a scope that the GC has time to really understand on an infinitely detailed level. But the devil's in the details with this scope. You have to know them. And so if they don't have a trusted partner that they can go to, now it's on them to try to figure this shit out. And that is not an easy thing with our scope, just because there's so much minutia. And if it leaks, it's $1 million problem just that quick. And so I think having that trusted partner that could really elevate their customer service game and still be knowledgeable and still be a high quality installer, I think that was a spot that was underserved. And our clients can attest, like it's been a really welcome thing for them in the marketplace to have somebody like us to turn to. Hey, we're not perfect. We have a lot of human beings that do things wrong a lot because they're imperfect, me especially. But I think that mindset of, hey, we're in it to serve our clients and to really help them be better at their job, I think that's the key element.
It's funny to hear you say that, because I talk to a lot of our clients and just general contractors, people in general, and few humans think that way, whether it's on the general contractor side or the subcontractor side. Maybe it's the GC thinking about it for the owner, or the sub, or really the GC thinking about how important the sub is on the contract for that, or on the project for them. I think if one of the things I like to talk about a lot is if everyone would just sit down and have a real conversation and stop the hedging against each other. As a third party on a construction project, seeing it from both sides and really having a vested interest in nothing more than just the success of the project. Because for us, yes, we have a client that is our direct borrower, but that general contractor and the owner on the project is just as much of a client of ours, because we are completely linked to one thing and one thing only, and that is the performance on the project. If that project performs, that means our subcontractor performs, that means the GC performed, that means the owner got what they wanted, and money flows all the way down the hill to everybody, and everybody's happy. And it's what I always find is the lack of communicating sometimes on some of these projects causes the issue. And it's like, I don't want to tell them that. And I'm going to fight this and push against that. And if everyone just sit down and say, you know what, this is what I'm great at. This is what I'm not. This is where I need help. This is where I don't. It seems like it'd be so much easier for a construction project.
Now, I think you've hit that nailed right on the head, because for us, I think that at the very least, can't we just get the real stuff? Like, why do we have to, like, well, I got to hold my cards to my chest. I don't want to let them know. Let's just be real. Let's just be honest with each other. Let's just be upfront about the problems that we see, because ultimately that upfront communication, getting all that out on the table, that's what the project needs to move. And so trying to hold on to some information because that might help us later, that's bullshit. Like, we're trying to get our client and their building to the end in a profitable and expedient manner with a quality building. Like, you need the information to flow. And so I think that that's something that, I don't know, like subcontracting and general contracting has gotten to a really interesting point where it's a combative space sometimes. You see this, you see jobs go south, and it's really not the job going south. It's the relationship going south. It's the communication going south. And if you can hedge that by just being real, just being upfront, just being honest with the client about what's going on, and let all that information just be on the table as a discussion point. And I think that perspective, hey, we're not perfect. We have communication issues at times, but I think that being upfront and real with our clients is a really big differentiator. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, a lot of times when we're doing contract buyout, I'll tell the client, I really think that you should hold us accountable for this particular thing. Let's make this language pretty broad, because you need us to finish this result and cover this whole scope for you. So let's make this language a little bit broad, because I know that's good for you. And then on this thing over here, it's a little vague. Like, you kind of got me wrapped into this other guy's scope. Let's clarify this one here. So I'm trying to buy out a contract that's good for them and me. And it's not that complex. Let's just all work together as a team. We got the same goal: get this building built profitably and at a quality level. And it's not that complicated.
When you and I first met, one of the things I admired, I don't even know if you remember this part of the conversation, but it was in your office. We were talking through the scopes and just having a general conversation about the construction. And one of the things I thought was really interesting about your particular scope and what you have to manage around, that I always hear a lot of people talk about, is they're always blaming the other trade. Oh, they're slowing me down. This trade's slowing me down. I don't have the site yet, or they screwed this up, so I can't do my thing. More than any other scope, you probably touch just about every other trade on that job. I mean, whether it's walls, erection, roofing, electrical, plumbing. I mean, you're sealing, for everyone who doesn't know what waterproofing is, I mean, you're sealing the structure. You're making it waterproof, obviously. So you're on the walls, you're around the windows, you're near the joints, you're near the roof lines, anything that connects to anything. You have the opportunity to blame everybody for any problem you want, but yet when you and I talk, you never blame anybody. Never.
Yeah, we have to be careful with that. Like, sometimes somebody screwed up and I can't start because they didn't do their job. But I'm not just going to send a letter, hey, we're delayed, this other guy sucks. I'm going to come out and say, hey, this thing needs to go, these 4 changes need to be made, and then we'll be able to start as soon as possible. Yeah, sometimes there has to be some work back and forth, but it doesn't have to be in a combative manner. We can just, hey, this is the facts. I need this to keep moving. Let's do it together. It's like, providing the solution instead of just putting the blame. But you see that, you're right. I mean, the blame gets pushed in the contracting space so many times. Like, well, it's just somebody else's problem. But we try to own the problem. Like, some other trade has a thing. Let's walk it through. Let's make sure that we're there. Make sure it gets done right, and own the problem. We want to carry that on our shoulders, and I think our client appreciates that. When a client comes at us and says, hey guys, you didn't do this thing. I mean, if it's true, I'm gonna take the client side. Be like, yeah, you're right. We screwed that up. Now I'm gonna look right at my PM and be like, what the hell is going on? And why aren't you taking care of this client? Just gonna call them out because it's real. That's actually what happened. And I'm gonna take the client side. I'm not going to push back and pretend that we didn't screw up, because we're human and we messed some things up, and we're gonna own that shit and we're gonna fix it quick and move to the next.
You've talked about some of the early days. How did you maintain the success level as you grew and scaled, hiring talent, finding talent, and doing these jobs and keeping up that level of performance?
Well, I'll tell you, if you want, I'll give you what I think is the absolute single biggest factor. I don't worry about Alphapex money. That seems crazy, right? Like, how could that be? How could you run a business and not worry about the money? Yeah, I review the financials. I know what's going on with the money, but I don't make the money my first concern. So I'm going to measure the other things. Are we the safest in the business? Are our clients getting taken care of and the buildings getting built on time and correctly? Are we solving the client's problem? Are we so good at helping them with their job that they're not going to go anywhere else? So if I worry about all those things, ultimately, I'm worrying about their money. So if you think about this, so I'm worrying about what gets them to their money faster. So for the client, that's going to be getting the building done, getting demobilized and off the site, no callbacks, no leaks, no warranty issues over the course of the job. And then for, what about my suppliers? They're very critical to the chain of things that we do. I got to worry about them. Yeah, I'm going to write them a check, but I still need to be worried about their money because I'm going to need them. So I worry about getting them paid quickly, making sure that our ordering processes allow them to be efficient. They get to make more money. They love us. And then our staff, our team, the people that are on our team, I worry about their money. Are they getting paid top of the market? Are they in a work environment that they want to be there? We're not just working them into the ground and in the way that construction is known for. So I'm worrying about everybody else's money. And then guess what happens to Alphapex company funds? Most of the time, it pretty much takes care of itself. Now, when I try to explain this to people at first, they're like, this is pretty crazy. How can you not worry about your money? But I do. I worry about everybody else's money. And then Alphapex gets taken care of.
Instilling that culture in yourself is one thing, but you've grown now. You have over 100 employees. Culture is very important. You talk about it all the time. It's on your website. It's on your paperwork. It's on your documents. It's in your company logo. It's everywhere. And you can tell you've worked really hard on that. Talk a little bit about how you developed that culture, how you implemented it, and what you do to keep it going.
So the core values are not done for show. They're not done to impress. They're done to create a mindset framework. And so those core values there's 5 elements in the Alphapex core values, and some of our other businesses have a slightly different set of values based on the decisions that need to be made in that business. So it's a decision tree, and we create those core values. So this is not just a thing that we put on the wall just because it looks nice and has bright colors and it checks the box of, yeah, we have them. It's a decision-making process for every single thing that pops up. So we had to run through these, okay, we think these are the core values. We got 6 or 7 here, and run through every possible scenario we could. Does this word or this phrase help our team make decisions and be better and take the company to the places we want to go? And I expect at some point those core values will adjust as the goals and needs of the company change. So it's a decision-making tree that goes with us every moment of every day. And I think that some people just look at, well, we want some nice words that look pretty and we can put them on the wall. But what are they going to do for you? What are those words going to do to actually improve the business and take it to a new level?
When is your team first introduced to your core values?
Immediately. The core values are in the onboarding paperwork. They've agreed in the onboarding paperwork. They have to read them. They have to understand what they mean, and they have to agree to uphold them. If you don't uphold the core values, buddy, you're out. So that's a pretty quick one. And I think that's really, people understand pretty quickly that that's the way that the business runs. And we talk about it to our clients too. It's a selling point. I was at a client yesterday, client in Fort Worth, and we were doing a presentation for their field team. So all their superintendents and assistant superintendents. And we were talking about waterproofing and quality and the other items that we do every day, and just try to help their team be better. Just, free information. I want to help these guys be better and help them understand our scope of work. And they're super appreciative, great group. But we talk about the core values there, like, hey, this is the expectation that we have of our team. And if you see somebody not matching it, please let us know. That's a really interesting thing. We promote those core values to the client, and I'll get a phone call or a text occasionally. Hey, just so you know, I saw one of your guys on the site. You're probably going to want to know about this. And I'll get a text. They're not upset at me, but they know that I would care. And they know that I have a super high expectation, and they'll let me know. And I really appreciate that. That's been a pretty cool thing of, really pushing that to the clients, letting them know that, hey, we're a high-level organization, well-developed. We have these core values that are a functional part of how we operate, and they'll help us watch out for them, which is really neat.
So this is such a good topic, and it's hard. It's also a hard topic, especially for a business owner. And I speak from experience. It's hard. It's hard for me. I think it's something I'm always working on, is how can we make our culture better? How can we keep our culture the way it is? And always coming up with new and creative ways to do that, or keep new and creative ways to keep what we have going, to your point.
I always have to do a disclaimer. You notice my voice is monotone. It's the same shit all the time. I'm excited, I'm sad, or whatever. You don't even know the difference because I'm just kind of like this all the time. It's really funny because this guy, Charles, he doesn't seem to get very excited. No, I'm pumped. Are you kidding me? But this is about as animated as I get. So yeah, I'm excited to be here for sure. but you might not tell from my facial expression or my voice inflection.
You were a little more animated when you had about 17 inches more haircut and you went about 4 months past your normal date there during the coronavirus.
Yeah, I don't look good like a gorilla. I wasn't very happy. My wife thought it was cool as a novelty, but anyway, that was a good time. The other disclaimer is that, hey, I'm an asshole. It's just kind of how I'm wired. My wife has to make sure when we go to client events, she tells them up front, hey, just so you know, I'm the nice one. Charles is an asshole. Don't hold it against him.
She called you a nice asshole. She said
you're the nicest asshole that she knows. That's true. Yeah, she does say that. I'm the nicest asshole she knows.
Charles, one of the other things I really wanted to cover with you was I think you do a great job marketing your business. We've talked about some of the ways you separated yourself with your customers and your clients. But one of the things that I really want you to discuss is just your overall general philosophy on marketing, what you were doing in the past, what you've been doing along the way, what you've learned. And I think we'd be a little remiss if you didn't maybe touch a little bit on what you think might change with your marketing moving forward, specifically as it relates to the coronavirus, or just what you think is going to change here in construction.
Our approach to marketing is virtually the same thing that we do on the job site. We talked about this in some previous things of we're worried about the client. What does the client need to be better? And so our marketing really is that way too. So we're giving a lot of information. The client wants to see their project. They want to see nice, pretty video of their project as it goes together. They're emotionally invested in this project that they put hundreds or thousands of hours into. So we're going to definitely showcase those projects and let them see it and let their friends see it. We're going to share information with them, either in person in their office or with a lunch and learn or with videos on YouTube or on the different social media channels or different things that we send out that help them be better at their job with the things that we know, which is our scope of work. So help them understand how to QA/QC our work, how to understand our work, how to help direct their project regarding the things that we do in Division 7. And so our marketing is very similar to the way we put work in place. And that's really be focused on what does the client need to be better. And then we don't really ask that much. We find that if we give a lot and we do have that ask of, hey, let's do this job together, that ask is welcome because we've been giving so much before that. So if you think about this, it ties back to that whole thing of helping the client get to their goals or be better at their thing. So birthdays, anniversaries, these things mean a lot. That's an emotional tie. So as a marketer or as a business owner, you want to tie your business name and the things you do every day to an emotional connection. And birthdays are a really good way to do that. We've found that a lot of our people that we work with, our clients, their own companies don't even remember their birthday. The card that they get from us might be the only thing they got that day from somebody outside their family. So it has a really emotional connection and impact, and it's very, very long lasting. People remember these things for a long time. So just an example, I don't believe I have one handy, but we do pocket knives for birthdays. So it's a pocket knife and it's got their name on it. And then we've got a birthday card that is signed by everybody in the office, wishing them a very happy birthday, and they receive that. Now, this is a big task because you have to have a database of all your clients, their contact information, where they are, what company they're at, how to get to them, what their birthdays are. It's got to be accurate. Otherwise, you look like an idiot. So this is a lot of information, and it's hard. And that's why most people don't do it. And so I think that in marketing, you've got to look, what's that next step? What's that really hard thing that you don't want to do, but nobody else is doing it, so you really should do it? And that's what we found is the real differentiator. What's the hard thing to do to connect to your client? Go do that. Because chances are your competitors won't.
No, you're right. It's invaluable. And anytime you're attaching a memory to you and your business of something you've done that's really been emotional to that person, it's going to be more memorable and more impactful. And those are two great things every time.
But how often do you get gifts? They send you a gift. We're going to use gift loosely because it's just an item that has the company's name on it. That's not for you. No. That's just general. They're giving you a generalization of, well, we kind of feel nice about you. But if somebody goes through the effort to document all these things, it took us forever to get all these names and emails and addresses together and birth dates. But once you do that and you identify that you care about them as a human being on their birthday, which has intrinsic meaning and something special, something custom, something you made for them, it's really a very important connection, I think. We don't give anything to a client without their name on it. Does anybody throw away something with their name on it? Absolutely not. They keep that thing forever. So we've seen these these different colored Yetis that we've given to people. They're 5, 6 years old. They're just beat to shit. And they're still carrying that thing around on the job site every day because they love it. It's got their name on it. And that's really cool for us and our brand and for what we stand for. And they really cherish that. So that's cool. I would say putting somebody's name on a gift is really impactful. Just don't give it to them if you can't put their name on it.
I'm trying to think back. Have I thrown anything out that had my name on it other than junk mail? And I would probably say no.
You should see our office around Christmas time. So we might send out 500 or 600 custom gifts around Christmas time. Can you imagine the volume? Like, how do you keep track of that many custom gifts? You got to check the names. You got to check the addresses. People move between companies all the time. You got to make sure you're taking it to the right location. Yeah, it's a logistical nightmare, but it's totally worth it. I definitely kudos to my wife, Alicia, who handles all of those elements of the business. And she does a next level amazing job to get that done and keep it organized. Everything goes out wrapped nicely with a bow on it, with the name tag, our branding, their name, custom gift.
It's awesome, man. That's definitely an impactor. People are going to remember that. What are you doing different now with the coronavirus, I guess, in general? What are your thoughts around the impact of the coronavirus? What's happened? I mean, there's so many, it's impacted everybody. There's no country, there's no person, there's no industry. Everybody's been impacted. What are the things you've done differently? How have you adjusted or maintained or et cetera?
Yeah, so construction has been incredibly blessed. If you think about it, even across the country. Texas has been sheltered maybe more than some, but there's a few states that have had some construction shutdowns. But for the most part, construction suppliers, construction manufacturers are still being able to operate. And that's just amazing. We're very, very fortunate to be in that position, very thankful. But if you think about it, the world has changed a lot for construction and for everybody else. Like, yeah, we can still work every day, but the way that we do that, the way that we connect to our clients, the way that we get information from our job sites, the way that we interact with our team members, the way that we train for us has been very different. We can't have that training meeting every Monday and pack 120 guys into a room. And that doesn't work anymore. So we've got to come up with ways, like, how do we do this and film it ahead of time? And we text out a link to everyone so they can still get the same information, but on a screen of a phone instead of in person. And then how do you connect? From a screen of a phone is not the same emotional connection as it would be as if you were in person. So now you do it in smaller groups. Now you do it one-on-one. You've got to find a way to connect. I think to answer your question more specifically about the client relationship, connecting with human beings is a really, really important part of construction. Like, yes, we build buildings, but hey, man, we are in the people business. And that's not going to change with technology, with new building methodologies. Like, we're going to be in the people business forever. And because of that, we can't lose sight of the fact that coronavirus or not, you still have to find a way to connect with the people that are in the business. So finding what are the ways we can think outside the box, come up with something new to get a contact, to get an emotional connection like we mentioned. Here, I'll show you an example. This is the Alphapex Pandemic First Aid Kit, if you can see that. It's whiskey and beef jerky and a mask. So it was a huge hit. Superintendents, project managers are just getting beat over the head every day with all this corona stuff and having to sanitize job sites and make sure everybody's washing their hands and check temperatures and all the different protocols. And that whiskey and beef jerky was really impactful.
That's a cool gift.
So that one was just outside the box. What's something we can do that will allow us to connect with our clients for just a second, just to get there and let them know that we care about them, that we're here for them if they need us. And it was a challenge to get all those delivered because, some people at the office, some people at the house, some people on the job site. And so we were able to get that done and send out a few hundred of those. And it was pretty neat to see the reaction. So we've got to think outside the box now.
Finding new and creative ways, man, and helping people when no one else is, or when fewer people are, is so important. And if you just generally focus on helping the person and helping people in general, anyone you come in contact with, but especially your customers, especially your team, you're going to be so much better off. And it's so much easier to manage your business because the decisions are easier. You do what's right. You just do what's best for each person, and doing something extra special for someone in the point where especially when they're getting beat down by everybody, is a memorable and honorable thing. Man. Really is.
You have to have the long game in mind. This stuff that we do is not a short-term thing. You don't see a monetary result quickly.
No. And you're not doing it for a monetary result either.
Right.
And who knows, you'll never tie an ROI to how many custom gifts you bought, Doesn't mean you can add more money to the project. Doesn't mean any of those things. It just means it's what's right. It helps separate you. It keeps you more memorable in a game where everybody can be very similar.
Right. Yeah, it's a differentiator. And I know absolutely for a fact that if you show people you care, your business will grow.
100%.
The speed that we have to operate, and this problem, and this problem, and this problem, and this problem, I like to call it whack-a-mole. Well, then you look up and it's 2 or 3 or 6 years later, and somebody else, they handled that problem, they kicked your ass. You might just need to sit in your office with no noise and no phone and think about where you want to go and what things in your business you've been avoiding.